everybody. How's everybody doing? Come on in, get your coffee. It's almost time. What do you mean no? It's time for coffee. Don't say no. You thought what would happen? Is there something happening? CNN. Is there some news happening right now? Yeah, I just woke up. How will he overcome the electoral map? Probably by getting more votes. Oh no, Charles Schultz died again. I hate it when that happens. How do I make my coffee? I push a button. That's the only way to do it. Yeah, he's changing for good. That Donald Trump. I do not have bed hair. Yeah. So, do you remember last year when Trump was just announced and it looked like it was impossible that he would get this far? And I said that Trump has a secret weapon. And that if he got close and he needed to, get over the finish line, he had a secret weapon, which is he could get a haircut, just shave his head or something. So it seems unlikely he's going to shave his head, but he came really close when he let Jimmy Fallon mess up his hair on TV, because that's one of those. It's sort of one of those moments that humanizes him, makes him look less scary. He almost choked seeing the photo of his childhood home. Trump says success is like a drug. No, means he's bad at analogies. Birther is a sleeper? That's not a sleeper. Hillary is attacking Trump. Why is that interesting? How did Trump learn to hypnotize? Well, he may not be a hypnotist per se, but the minister of his church was Norman Vincent Peale when he was a kid. And Norman Vincent Peale was accused of being a hypnotist in his time. What I read is gone. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the birther issue. It's obvious that Trump doesn't think he was born in another country. Kaepernick has not contacted me, at least not that I know of. I should probably check my other email. I haven't checked my public email in a while, but I'm sure he would have. Let's see, I'll do that while we're here. Yeah, and the cover of Women's Health, that's terrible. That's bad. Let's see, I was sure. Yeah, can't do it now. That's right, Trump helped him prove that he's an American. I rule hard. We're revolting. We're not deplorable, we're revolting. Oh, I like that. Kenya. Is there anybody here who still thinks he was born in another country? Oh, sorry. Trump is a closer. That was the funniest press release. Would I stand? Yeah, of course I stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem. That's just more of a sign of respect. But does it make me more likely to be subject to confirmation bias? Yes. And cognitive dissonance? Yes. But I think in the case of national pride, that's one place where brainwashing and even self-hypnosis makes some sense. Now think about it. Of all the teams you could be on, maybe you think of yourself as, a man or a woman, or you think of yourself as your ethnicity, or you think you're a young person or an old person. You think you're rich or you're poor. The only one of those teams that's healthy is national, America. Because if you take Team America, then everything that comes with that is friendly competition, you hope is friendly, with the other countries and doing American things. But as soon as you say you're any one of the other things, you're a man or a woman, or you're some ethnic group, or you're old or poor or whatever, then you become those things. And you act differently. Is there a game to escape to a greater reality? I doubt it. I never totally understood the birther issue as being racist. What exactly is the connection between wondering where Ted Cruz is born and accusing him of being a terrible Canadian? It's only racist because Obama is black. Is that literally the only reason? Yeah, because he's black. His voice change. You're talking about Jimmy Fallon talking about how Trump has been more calm and taking it down. I mean, that's just part of being less scary, right? Weapons grade. Well, I'm not sure I would call it persuasion itself, because there's no hidden technique there. What he was doing is exactly what everybody saw, for exactly the reason that people thought he was doing it. So I'm not sure that counts as persuasion, but it probably did persuade a few people. And it's weird because it shouldn't, but probably did. Is it a birther trap for Hillary? That's a good question. Do you think that by Trump not personally and in person saying that he knows Obama is a citizen, do you think that that's some kind of a trap? I don't know. Maybe it's too clever for me, but I don't see only in maybe some general way that maybe he wants people to talk about that instead of something important. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think it's a trap. When I talk to my friends who are big Obama supporters and also anti-Trump, the thing they say about the birther movement is not that Trump is racist, it's that they think he's stupid. Right? Now, maybe your friends are different, but let me put that out there as a question. When there are people who complain about the birther stuff from Trump, do they complain because they say, well, clearly that's racist? Or do they complain because they just think it's not true, and so they say, well, clearly he's just being stupid and causing troubles that they actually say he's racist because of that? I swear to God, am I missing something? Yeah, they say both, stupid, racist, stupid. So it's a toss-up between stupid and racist, or some half and half. Well, even if it's half and half, simply by acknowledging that he understands it, doesn't he take away half of the problem that you think he was stupid? And it just makes it look like Yeah, black people think it's racist, of course, but why? What was the reason given? You know what would be fascinating? To see one of those people on the street interviews, where somebody just stops somebody with a microphone and says, "Hey, Trump said that birther thing," and ask African Americans to explain why it's racist. And if they do, then explain that he said the same thing about Ted Cruz being Canadian, and ask if that's racist as well. He's been planning the birther thing for years. Bill's still dicking bimbos, yeah. New poll, he's up by 6. Let me look at that. What was he up to last time? Nearly tied in Michigan. Is Michigan one of the ones that he wasn't supposed to win? Or one of the ones he's going to win? I see Michigan. Is there also something here about don't trust the polls? It's not on the top of the headlines, so that must have been yesterday's. Was that yesterday's? Oh, there it is. LA Times tracking poll. Oh, shit. That's a head-up match, right? Usually Trump isn't ahead by that much unless all 4 are in there, right? So this is his... Michigan is usually solid Democrat. If he wins Michigan, does he win it all? Yeah, just a second. He's up everywhere. Was that a yes? He'll win it all if he wins Michigan, just based on what he has now? Hold on. Is that true? Yes. Blacks at 23%. So let me ask you this. Do you think the shy Trump voters are just coming out? Or do you think that people are switching sides? Which is it? Is it the shy voters, the shy Trump voters who are saying, fuck it, I'm just going to answer this poll for the first time? Or are people just saying, I don't want to vote for Hillary because of emails or her health or something? I hiccup weird, I do. Both. Oh, you're starting to go public? Yeah. Tired of winning. Shy voters still haven't been polled. Does it look like a landslide yet? Can you imagine what happened to my life after Hillary Clinton collapsed? Do you have any idea what that did to, what that did to my day? I wasn't happy about it. Because just as a human being, you can't be happy about somebody having a health problem. But in terms of the energy that threw my way, oh my God. Why? Because I predicted it back in December. I was worried about you. This is fun. Let me ask you. Let me ask some of you this question. This will be the weirdest question anybody ever asked. Well, no, it's not even close to the weirdest question anybody asked, but it's weird in the context of politics. Are you going to feel bad when the election's over? Because honestly, I've never been this entertained. I've literally never been this entertained for this long. Right? I wake up every day entertained, and I'm entertained almost all day long. Aren't you going to miss this? Because I got a feeling that, even if you're happy Trump becomes president, and even if, he does Trump-like things that are in the news every day, it's not going to be this good because he's going to act all presidential, right? I mean, this is really you're really going to miss this, I think. I know I am. Write a persuasion book? I don't know. Let me ask you this. If I simply took all my blog posts and put them in context with comments around the actual events, so you could see the predictions and the events as they're unfolding in sort of a first I said this, then this happened way, would you read that book? Because it's the sort of thing I could do kind of quickly. I'd probably have to hire an editor and say, go put these together, and then I'd give it a final pass. It'd be all my writing, but I'd need somebody to put it together for me, just so I don't have to do the grunt work. Really? But all of you have already read all that stuff. See, here's my hesitation. I tried this once with my blog before. I just compiled my blog posts into a book because the blog itself was popular, so I thought, well, people will buy this book. But instead of saying, yes, that's exactly what we want, we like your book, your blog, so of course we're buying your book, people said exactly the opposite. What they said was, hey, why should I buy a book for something that was for free on your website? And then to make it worse, as part of my publishing contract, I removed it from my website so the book wouldn't be competing with the free content that's the book. And people just went fucking nuts. So I've got a feeling that people wouldn't like it if I just tried to sell them my blog post. But it would be the best book because it was the real thing I said at the real time. Gladwell, yeah, I think I read that one. It'd be only, because I'm thinking I could put it out on Kindle. Let me ask you this. If I compiled my blog posts, put a little bit of commentary around it about what I was thinking at the time, and then interlaced it with the real-world events so you could see how the prediction matched the events, and let's say Trump goes all the way, becomes president, what would you pay for that as a Kindle book? And be serious, what you actually think that should be worth. $2.99? Would I add illustrations? Probably not. Maybe photography. So $7.99, $2.99, $9.99, $2.99. Are there Kindles for $9.99? I didn't know that there were any that expensive. Well, price is going up. $10, $20, $1. So you're all over the board, but it looks like most of the energy is between 2 and 5, right? 5 on the high end. There are some outliers. Huh. We don't. Do it, believe the blog. Well, actually there would be value added in the Kindle because I would be adding the real events as they happen. That would make a big difference, wouldn't it? Huh. Illustrations as in Dilbert comics, you mean? How about if I put my Twitter feed in there? By the way, how long does the Twitter feed last? Can I go back last year, my Twitter feed? Is that a thing? Or do they disappear? Yeah, my Twitter feed stays forever. You'd buy a Christina calendar? Yeah, that probably would increase the value quite a bit. Should I put Christina, my neighbor, on the book? Put your neighbor's picture on it. Do I have the most attractive neighbor in the entire world, or what? How lucky am I? Put Christina in it. Yeah, she might. It's funny because it's literally true. Christina, my neighbor, might actually be the most attractive human I think she is the most attractive human I've ever seen in person. Neighbor with benefits. Is that a thing? Is there such a thing as neighbor with benefits? Like, you can borrow my lawnmower. Any Chippendales? I'm not your neighbor. Oh, you're so noisy today. Love thy neighbor. Yeah, if you do it right. Wouldn't that be awesome? Trump doing his birther speech? Is he going to do a birther speech? He's not doing a birther speech, is he? That doesn't sound like something he's going to do. Bang thy neighbor. $25 for the paperback? No, you wouldn't pay that. Yes, he's actually giving a speech about the birther thing. Not a speech, a statement. All right, we'll have to turn this on. Hold on. All right. Turning it on right now.
Number one challenge and problem is getting the Democratic activists
Oh my God.
Enthused about her. They think this.
You're right. He's waiting to go on. All right, I'll wait with you, okay? 800 of you. If you want to wait around, we'll wait until Trump does his thing. Is he expected to say something about the birther thing? You remove your yard sign before your wife comes home. That's hilarious. Let me ask you this: how many hell in a handbasket? How many of you keep your Trump support from your spouse? How many? Does anybody do that? Do you keep your Trump support, or do you know anybody who keeps it from their spouse? Forever alone. Both. So one of you does. Nope. I would guess that all the people who men going their own way, right? I would guess that most of you here are out. You're out of the Trump closet. Keep it from your neighbors. Oh, you flipped your wife from Hillary to Trump? Tell me how you did that. Has anybody flipped a spouse to Trump? Converted my mom. Convert. All right, here's a good question. Do you remember when Apple and IBM were doing a lot of commercials back when IBM was the only way you could get a Windows machine? See how old you are. Do you remember people used to say people do switch from Windows to Apple, but nobody ever switches from Apple back to Windows? Now, I don't know if that's true, but they used to say that. All right, just as a little experiment here, hold your comments except for the following answers, all right? So just hold your other comments for a minute and just get ready for this question. If you know somebody who flipped to Trump, say so. And if you know somebody who flipped from Trump to Clinton, say so. All right? So tell me, tell me if you know anybody who flipped to Clinton and anybody who flipped to Trump, okay? Flip to Trump, and even if you know somebody who flipped to Trump, 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 to Trump. I wish I had any rhythm, but I don't. Yeah, I suppose this is the least scientifically valid Yeah. Is this a story? Feels like it, doesn't it? To Clinton. Just one so far. To Pepe, to Johnson, Trump to Clinton. Okay. Somebody would, Trump. So we got a few. I don't think we can say much, though, because to Christina. Who would prefer to have my neighbor Christina as president? So you could. Now I have to look at Trump or Hillary. I'm burping this morning. Yeah, the Amish are gonna. I think the Amish are gonna go for Trump. Did you see the big billboard they had for Trump in Amish country? It said something along the lines of, he's hardworking like you, just like you. So Trump, he is just like the Amish. As far as I know, they don't have digital communications, so whatever you tell them, I suppose they're going to have to believe. Because if the Amish aren't gullible, I don't know who is, folks. They can't go to Snopes, is what I'm saying. You were just there. Really? You were in Amish country? Do you think Trump is more entertaining than Christina? You're wrong. Do you believe in Keck? I believe it's a word. Christina's prettier than whoever you were comparing her to. He hasn't responded yet, has he? Trump himself? Oh, you live near the Amish in Ohio. Does my neighbor know she has a fan club? She definitely knows. She's got 1.6 million followers on Instagram. The official statement was hilarious. When I saw the statement, I just laughed. I couldn't even. I wanted to. I wanted to send a photo. I'm sorry. I wanted to send a tweet after I read the statement from the Trump campaign about the birther thing, but I was laughing for 30 minutes. I just couldn't do it. It was just too funny. I couldn't tell if the statement is funny because it's persuasive, like a laugh tell, or it's just funny. Because I don't think it's convincing anybody of anything. No, actually, it probably was the laugh tell. It's because, as unbelievable as the statement is, it also sounds sort of rational. Like, yeah, people wanted to know. Hillary brought it up, this birther thing. So it's a good thing that Donald Trump got to the bottom of it and got his birth certificate, which, by the way, he did. I think he actually did that. So, believe it or not, I think Trump's claim that he's the one who brought the thing to a conclusion is actually true. But I guess it's not a conclusion until he says it's a conclusion here. You could look her up yourself. Last name is Basham, Basham. Just go to Instagram and look for Christina with a K, Basham, B as in boy, Asham. Just one word. Will the admission hurt him? Nope. No, there's no way it'll hurt him. In fact, it's hard to understand. It's hard to understand why he hasn't done it already. That's not obvious to me. How do you break up with your neighbor? That doesn't even make sense. You mean like she moved? Makes the Dems look stupid talking about it? It kind of does. Because, well, okay, let me give you what might be a persuasion angle. I don't think this is the case. So I don't think there's anything clever going on here. Like, it's just not reading that way to me. I think it's just events unfolding the way they were going to unfold. You know, at some point he was going to say something about the birther thing, and he had to come over to the he's an American side. I mean, he just sort of had to do it. So, you know, why not now? But if you were to try to imagine that there was some clever plan to it, it would look like this. And I don't think that's the case here. I think, imagine if your campaign has already said, yes, we looked at the birth certificate, he's an American citizen. So for all practical purposes, Trump has said, it's over. We're all on the same side. We all agree. And then he makes, and then let's say he makes, what's Charles Krauthammer saying? Trump never goes on the defensive, right? Then suppose that he makes the public, all right, here's a clever persuasion way that it might make sense for Trump not to say himself, until now anyway, that Obama was born in this country, even though his campaign has already said it for him. It keeps the other side talking about it. And it throws light on the ridiculous connection, I think, between racism and the question of whether a particular American was born in this country. Because it's exactly the same question with Ted Cruz, right? Oh, here it is. Conspiracy theory. Months ago, let's say Trump decided to attack Ted Cruz on his Canadian citizenship so that when this moment came, he would be ready to say, I said the same thing about Ted Cruz. So if this happens, if he goes on and says, look, I did question his citizenship, obviously it's not a race thing, I said the same thing about Ted Cruz, it's over. Because as soon as he says that, people are going to start to see that what they thought were all these clear signs of racism are kind of ridiculous. They're all confirmation bias. If you look at any of the things individually, they're clearly confirmation bias. I talk about the Judge Curiel thing, calling him Mexican. If you look at that in isolation, that's just how people talk about themselves. If you know somebody who's American, who has Italian background, they will say, I'm Italian. That's how people talk about themselves. So Trump talked about somebody with Mexican heritage by saying he's Mexican, because guess what? That's what people with Mexican heritage who are Americans say about themselves. And they don't mean I was born in that country. Hold on a second. Be right back. For some reason, my nose always runs. It gets itchy. That's a separate question. But Jesus Christ, that's brilliant. It really is. If you see that happen, if he mentions Ted Cruz in this speech, then it might have been planned. I don't think that's the case. But even if it wasn't planned, it would still be kind of brilliant to say it, right? And by the way, there's a near certainty that people watching this Periscope are attached to the Trump campaign. And if that's a good idea, that idea has already reached him, which is weird, don't you think? Yeah, so even if he's standing, he might be standing just outside the room where he's going to be speaking. But in this world of digital communications, I guarantee that one of the 900 plus people on here is associated with this campaign. I know that just because I know that. So one of you is hearing this idea right now. So somebody actually associated with the campaign. I don't know who exactly, but there would be several, or at least one degree of separation. So there's somebody here right now who absolutely knows somebody on the Trump campaign personally, enough to send them a text right now. And so the idea of mentioning Ted Cruz to take away the whole, it must be a racist thing, it has been presented, probably by now, to somebody in Trump's inner circle. So by now, I would almost guarantee that if they haven't already thought of it, and by the way, I'm sure they already thought of it, but this is just fun to think about, that someone in his inner circle has already gotten a text or got a tap on the shoulder and said, hey, if he's going to talk about the birther thing, just make a joke about Ted Cruz being Canadian, and the whole racist thing just goes away. Because if the news quotes that part, it's game over for that. And by the way, that was the strongest and initial, it's the thing that it's the thing that made everybody think he's a racist. And it's probably the least racist thing anybody ever did. Because really, he was literally talking about American citizenship, just as he's talked about American citizenship with immigration and in every other way with Ted Cruz. He's just talking more of the same. I do drink my coffee black at home, not at restaurants usually. Oh, sorry. Do I predict riots when Trump wins? It depends by how much. If Trump wins in a landslide, then no riots. Well, let me take that back. There almost certainly will be small ones, right? So you'll see there'll be trouble. The only way it would be a riot is if it was close right to the end, and then people really hoped that Clinton would win, and maybe even thought that she would until the end. Then, if it's like the last minute, they're surprised that Trump wins, then all hell's going to break loose, because people's emotions will be sort of compressed into the moment of the election itself, and then psh. On the other hand, if it's really, really close, you don't have the result until late at night, and people are fucking asleep. It's going to be like Tuesday night or whatever, or maybe Wednesday morning by then, and people are just sort of not in rioting mood by then. Sort of has to happen earlier in the day, or the rioting won't happen, I think. So if it's a landslide, like I think it will be, then there'll just be some little outbursts here or there, but it won't be a big deal. Where did Black Lives go since they criticized Israel? I didn't know they criticized Israel. Yeah, you have to be in a mood for a riot. The emotions have to really be focused on something. And if he's just way ahead by election day, there's just no focus. All the energy is just going to... Well, all that will do is just make people not vote. Yeah, is it the same issue as the reporter thing? Have you noticed that one by one, each of the evidences of Trump's alleged racism have been melting away? So, for example, there was, originally the birther thing, and right now he's going to say, oh yeah, we saw the birth certificate. He's an American. And by the way, Ted Cruz, I asked the same question about him. So that one goes away. I've explained how the Judge Curiel one is just a common case of someone who's in a lawsuit wanting to manage the bias, either to say there is, in case he wants to claim later that's the reason he lost, or to get a new judge, which might help his case if he gets somebody. There must be racist judges, right? So even if Trump isn't a racist, wouldn't it be handy to get one who was? So if you could get a judge to recuse himself, that's just smart legal strategy. Because within the realm of a legal case, you're allowed to use every tool you have. It's totally legal. That's how the system is built. So the trouble is, if you look at him as a politician, he shouldn't be acting that way. If you see him in a legal context, he absolutely should be acting that way. That's how you do it. So if you look at any of these cases, case by case, and then look at the Muslim ban, it turns out that had nothing to do with ethnicity, and he's tightened that thought until it's not really about Muslims so much. It's about where they came from and whether you can identify some of the problematic belief systems. It looks like they're getting ready. What about calling illegals rapists? Well, obviously, calling them rapists was talking about some of them. So if you're importing crime, it's not really a good response to that to say, but there isn't that much, or that the crime we're bringing is the same rate as we already had. If you're bringing in crime that isn't American, it's a perfectly legitimate argument to say there would be more of it. It doesn't matter if the ratio of crime even goes down, because I think there's reason to believe that the illegal Mexican immigrants who come in and just get a job, they're probably far less likely to commit new and serious crimes because they have a double whammy. They could go to jail, but they could also get deported. So if you're an illegal, just getting arrested for a crime is the end. So in my experience, so here's something that I probably shouldn't even tell you this, because you'll fucking hate me for this, but I'll tell you anyway. So where I live, this area, so it's a pretty well-off area. And so it's pretty common for people to have housekeepers come in at least once a week, once every 2 weeks. I have crew come in once a week. And it's common that they would be of Mexican descent. Mine aren't. They're from another country. But originally, anyway, they're Americans now. But a lot of people have Mexican-born people working in their house. And if they're illegal, they're the ones you can trust the most. So in other words, people always get suspicious if they have somebody cleaning their house, or is all my shit disappearing or whatever. And I can tell you that where I live, if you don't want your stuff stolen while you're not there, you get a Mexican. That's the truth. You can ask anybody. If you want to be most secure that somebody in your house when you're not there is not going to mess with your stuff and not going to steal anything, where I live, it's common knowledge, because racism, right? Common knowledge for racism reasons, that a Mexican is the least likely to steal your shit. Now, the reason for that has everything to do with the fact that they would have two penalties, not just one. And one is if they really stole it, and if you could really prove it, they might go to jail. So that's what everybody has as a risk. But on top of that, just accusing them might send them to jail, because it might, get the police and them in the same room, and if they're undocumented, that's a problem. So everybody says this. If you want to make sure nobody steals your shit in Northern California, trust a Mexican. And I got to tell you, my experience of living here for a long time is exactly that. All right, a long time I've been here, and if I were to look for a pattern, that's the pattern. You have money blinders on. I do. So I'm not saying that my experience is some kind of universal experience, but I am telling you that here, that's the common bias feeling. See, there's plenty of illegals committing plenty of crimes, but not in your house, I'll bet, and not if they have a job. That's probably the difference. If you don't have a job, you're going to do what you need to do, right, to live. An ambassadorship. I would take an ambassadorship to Albonia, but only Albonia. You've been robbed by a couple cleaning ladies. What about the youth? Don't know about them. Nebonia, yeah. They do have good coffee. Yeah, we talked about Jimmy Fallon. Why are we still waiting for Trump? Is it something behind schedule? And why do they keep showing I think I turned it on to Fox. Why do they keep showing Bill O'Reilly? What's up with showing Bill O'Reilly while we're waiting for Trump? I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. There's a wheelchair guy. It's not a birther speech. Rewriting because of my comments. You want to see Robot reads news again? Robots read news. He's commenting. Yeah, I think the Fallon playing with Trump's hair humanizes him a little bit. It also makes him look like he doesn't have a temper. Because did the guy you saw on Jimmy Fallon getting his hair messed up, did that guy look like he has a bad temper? It doesn't really. So if you think he's not temperamentally suited, but so here's a question: how many of you are aware that Hillary Clinton that she's a social drinker? How many of you are aware of that? How many are you aware that Hillary Clinton is a social drinker? Okay, you're aware. And that's not a big surprise, right? Because most adults probably are. They're social drinkers. Trump is kind of rare on that level. So let me ask you this. If you know a social drinker, do they sometimes drink too much? And the social drinkers, do they, what social drinker might have, let's say 2 glasses of wine over an hour and a half or something. In terms of temperamentally fit to make an important decision, let's say there's an emergency, do you think somebody who had 2 glasses of wine would make the same decision as if they had had no wine? Well, we have no evidence that she drinks too much. She was toasted during the deplorable speech. It kind of looked like it, didn't it? There have been a few times I've seen her speak where I actually wondered if she'd had a glass of wine. She didn't look drunk, but she looked relaxed. Yeah, they don't let you drive after 2 glasses. Well, how many glasses of wine would somebody of her size and weight and age have to drink before you wouldn't let her drive? Right? Let me ask you that again. How many glasses of wine? 3 glasses? I'll bet it's less than 3. I'll bet it's between 1 and 2. If you're on blood thinners, does 2 to 3. So you think it's 2 to 3? Depends on the size of the glass, right? 1 to 2. It's definitely 6 or 8. 2. All right. So 2 glasses of wine, and you shouldn't drive. You probably shouldn't drive after 1 glass of wine. But legally, let's say 2. That looks like what people are saying. Depends on the state, too, I guess, right? If you shouldn't drive after 2 glasses of wine, how many evenings would a social drinker out of a year likely have 2 glasses of wine? Probably quite a few, right? A social drinker, maybe once a week. That would happen, wouldn't you say? So 50 times a year. If you have blood thinners, you shouldn't drink. What's it do to you if you have blood thinners? Does it accentuate? Does it make it worse if you have blood thinners? Have Hillary syndrome? Yeah, it might. It's not recommended that you drink because it makes you loopier if you drink. Coumadin, can somebody find out if Coumadin and alcohol go together? Or anything else she's on? Oh, my assistant just called in sick with the flu. Oh. Trump said Cubans not smart enough to say something. They don't. Would you condone the switch to weed? Only if she makes it legal. I guess it's not up to her. It's dangerous. So then why isn't that an issue? If it's known that alcohol might interact with the drugs that she's on, and it's known that she's a social drinker, why isn't somebody asking her if she still drinks socially? Why isn't that a reasonable question? OMG? Is the OMG because it's a good question? Because it's sexist. That's right. It's a good point. If you ask the president if he's born in this country, you're a racist. And if you ask Hillary Clinton if she still drinks socially while she's on her various medications, you would be a sexist. She's rumored to have a bad temper. How good are those rumors? Because that's all hearsay, right? That's just somebody talk to somebody. Allergies. Do I have allergies or do I have pneumonia? So it's a clotting problem. Secret Service said so. Well, you would think that a Secret Service agent would be a pretty solid source, but you wrote a book? Just one? How many sources have said that? Is there more than one Secret Service person who's ever said that Clinton has a bad temper? Documented, but just all many on record? Or did one say the other saw it? Yes, two. Two at over a dozen? I don't understand how all these Secret Service agents can talk shit about the people that they guarded. See, I'm suspicious right there. If you're a Secret Service agent, can you retire and just say whatever the fuck you want about the politician you guarded? Dick Morris? Did Dick Morris see it? I know it's researchable, but half the stuff on the internet is bullshit. Yeah, I don't believe black eyes. I don't believe hearsay. Yeah, you'd think they'd all be under non-disclosure. I don't understand how you could believe anything that comes from a Secret Service agent when it seems to me that talking about this would be violating, correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't it be an ethical violation to talk about the person you guarded? And if somebody would make an ethical violation to talk about someone they guarded, can you trust anything else they say? And that's a fair question, right? Even if they were Secret Service, so you figure, well, that should be a good source. If they're violating their ethical boundaries by writing a book that's a tell-all, especially, can you trust that person? Because, if you write a book, your publisher is going to say, do you have any really good stuff so we can sell this book, really damaging stuff? And what if the Secret Service guy says, not really, I got some stuff, but it's not that amazing? At which point does the publisher say, well, could you word it a little bit differently? Could you you think if you said this, somebody would complain? We probably wouldn't get sued if you worded it this way. So once the publisher is involved and money's involved, things change. SEAL Team 6, what about them? Oh yeah, they did talk. Or just one of them, right? Just one of them talked. I think this SEAL Team 6 thing is different because he didn't give away operational stuff. And after a military action of that type, I would say that's a case where there's a valid public, not a right, but and not even a need, but I think there's a public benefit for what SEAL Team 6 did to describe the last hours of the mission. Because, we paid for it, right? We paid for that mission. And to the extent that there are no operational secrets, and I hope that's the case, that seems fair. But talking about the personal actions of a government official that you guarded after you're out of that job, is that even legal? Why wouldn't there be, ironclad legal agreements to say you can never talk about the person you guarded? How would the person being guarded ever feel safe? I mean, they would feel unsafe from their own bodyguards, their own Secret Service. And if you feel unsafe from your Secret Service, aren't you going to order them to stay further away so they can't hear your shit? You are, right? Because if you can't trust them, you're not going to let them too close to you, so you're unsafe. So I can't put full credibility in anybody who used to work a job and then doesn't work it anymore. I mean, you always have to worry about disgruntled people. You have to worry about, are they breaking an ethical boundary right now? And if they're doing it now, why wouldn't they do it later? She has an ambulance and a medical equipment vehicle. I wonder how common that is. In and of itself, having a medical equipment vehicle strikes me as just being smart, because the odds of any one of these candidates getting popped or something happening seems pretty high. And part of the problem is they're always going to be somewhere where there's a big crowd and whatnot. Let's say worst case scenario. Let's say there's a terrorist attack and you haven't hurt just the candidate, but a lot of citizens as well. You need some kind of triage system in that case. And it sure would be nice to have your own van that can do some stuff. So my question is why Trump doesn't have one. All right, I wonder if that's an option that the candidates get. He's stretching it out to make them talk about it. Maybe so. He fears being poisoned. He should. She's a walking corpse. Well, they sent Obama out to campaign for her, which was literally a lame duck trying to support a walking corpse. He's making the Scott Adams changes. All right, let's all listen for him to make a reference to Ted Cruz, because if he does, that's all the media is going to talk about. And it would be the smart play, if he's going to talk about it at all. I'm still not sure he's going to talk about it today. Because, Trump, he could make him wait another day, right? But it's a news conference, so he's not going to want to stand up there and have 100 questions about the birther thing come to him and then say, I'll talk about that later, and then have 99 more questions that are exactly the same question. Why don't you just talk about it? Your campaign already said it. It's going to be the most boring, least newsworthy press conference of all time. So Fox is cutting away. Well, he wouldn't be, if it's a press conference, he's not writing an answer. He would, at most, he would be considering his answer. And I think they just showed his cars approaching the event, right? So I think he's just late. He's already addressed it. All candidates have one. She's the only one who uses it. That makes sense, right? They should all have one. Best use of hypnosis in everyday life. Well, the high ground maneuver works every time. That's persuasion, not hypnosis, but it's the same thing in this context. So if you Google the high ground maneuver and my name, you'll see a bunch of examples where I blog about it. In any meeting, in any situation, a high ground, well, except Yeah, the time it doesn't work is if it's a family member who's crazy, or you got a boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse who's just being irrational. Then nothing works. But if you're at a business meeting and you go to the high ground, that just always works. So give me an example. I'll give you an example. You're in a meeting and somebody's saying, we should do X. And somebody else says, we should do Y. No, X is better than Y. No, Y is better than X. The high ground maneuver is you wait until they've talked themselves out. And by the way, I do this. I've done this. I can't tell you how many times. You wait until they're done arguing with each other whether X or Y is better. And then you say, we could test both of those. Why don't we test X and test Y at the same time in different places? And we'll just find out which one works. That's the high ground maneuver. And everybody gets silent. And then they say, yeah, we could test it. Okay. I guess that's the only thing to say. That's the high ground maneuver. Diet Coke does feel like poison after you stop drinking it. When you're drinking it, it just feels like liquid. But as soon as you stop, your brain just goes, and suddenly Diet Coke just looks like, this is ridiculous. Why would I put this? Why would I put these random chemicals in my body if I don't even know what they do? What will I do next if Trump wins by landslide? Anything I want. Think about it. It tastes of ass. My best, I loved a quote from the old TV show Friends. I think it was Ross talking about somebody's cooking, and he said it tastes like feet. And I always thought, show the abs when he wins. It's starting, not on the channel I'm watching. Let me switch channels. Looks like they're doing an introduction. It says he is going to address the birther issue. Endgame world domination? It is. But you wouldn't mind me being in front of the world. You really wouldn't.
Presidential candidate is about to stage a grand event in a hotel ballroom to essentially declare the sky is blue, water is wet, and the sun rises in the east. We are told that today, for the first time, Donald Trump...
All right, turn on the news and watch it with me, okay?
At least in one conspiracy theory that he has flirted with for 5 years. We think that Donald Trump...
Unauthorized rebroadcast.
Now thinks that President Obama was born in the United States.
The American Deepak Chopra. He's probably American, isn't he? I'm going to blow my nose while this is coming out. Hold on.
In 2011, Mr. Trump was finally able to bring this ugly incident to its conclusion by successfully release his birth certificate, going on to say that Mr. Trump did a great service to the president and the country by bringing closure to the issue that Hillary Clinton and her team first raised. The statement goes on to say, arguably Donald J. Trump.
928 people still here?
If need be, Hillary Clinton herself did not start this. Supporters of her back in 2008 talked about it, but there is zero evidence that she accepted the falsehood or perpetuated it at all. It was perpetuated and championed, though, by Donald Trump.
What could actually hurt Trump? Well, lots of things. I saw somebody say adorable, that she was an adorable deplorable on the news last night. Was that me? I think it was.
Well, what we know is after the campaign released that statement last night, and despite the fact that the campaign is insisting still that...
All right, I'm going to mute this. I'm going to mute this because he's not really on. It looks like they're just getting ready. Yell at me if he looks like he's going to come on. That Black Women Agenda Symposium. Shy Brexit voters, a good proxy? We'll find out. I don't know that Brexit will go the same way as this, except maybe the surprise person wins. Tell us when he's on. Okay. Which network? Well, I'm watching CNN right now. I was just on Fox. I switched between the two. You have to watch both of them if you're gonna. You can't watch one or the other. Have you ever noticed that? Maybe you have noticed that. You can't really watch just CNN or just Fox because it's just ridiculous. You have to watch them both or you just have no idea what's going on. So I do a lot of flipping back and forth to see the two extremes. By the way, I do have a preference for which network is more entertaining. And I'm trying to figure out why. And I can't tell if it's just because I like what they're saying, which would be the worst reason to be entertained, especially if it's the news, or if there's something about the production quality or the anchors or something. But let me ask you this: which one do you find more entertaining? Forget about the fact that they're both full of shit. Just on a production value, quality of the folks on the news, which is more entertaining to you? Forget about truth. Fox, CNN, Fox, CNN, Fox. Okay, this is completely non-random because almost all of you are Trump supporters, so you probably discovered that as I did, that if you want to hear good things about Trump, you turn on Fox. If you want to hear bad things about Trump, you turn on CNN. My observation, and I'm going to say this just on production quality. Oh, here comes Trump. Is that Fox is just a better show. All right, let's listen to Mr. Trump. You know what the first question is going to be about? I'm not going to show it to you on TV because that would be a violation.
Thank you very much, everybody. Please sit down.
You serious?
Nice hotel.
Nice hotel. He's so smart. He's looking really serious.
Under budget and ahead of schedule. Isn't that nice?
Under budget and ahead of schedule. It's probably not true, but you can say it because nobody else sees
It's
it.
a great honor. This is our
Sees
brand new
the budget.
ballroom. You only see a small piece of it because we have it broken down. But this is the hotel is completed. We'll be having our opening ceremony in October, and it's going to be something very special. It's such an honor to have our first event. This is our first event, and it's such an honor to have our first event for Medal of Honor winners. I mean, they are the finest. And
Medal of Honor winners.
From the Medal of Honor winners is incredible, and I look forward to spending a lot of time. Come here.
Awkward man hug of the Medal of Honor winners.
They have a lot more courage than I do. I won't say that all the time, but it is such an honor to have this particular ceremony be
Medal of Honor
the
winners.
first ceremony, because I think when the hotel opens officially, it will be one of the great hotels anywhere in the world. And I want to thank
That's
the
Persuasion, you're right.
Services. They have been spectacular. These are spectacular people. These are tremendously talented people. All of the workers, all of the construction folks, all of the managers, the hotel staff. Amazing how good our country can do when we want to do it.
He doesn't have flags behind
We
him.
have put in tremendous amounts of work and
And it's his own hotel. That's interesting.
And I really believe, I said this will be the best hotel in Washington. I think it may be one of the great hotels anywhere in the world. That's the way it turned out. So really honored to have this as our first event.
Boy, he's very subdued today.
So I'm pleased
Low
to be
energy.
here this morning with two Medal of Honor recipients.
But it's
And
appropriate to the
Six
tone.
Flags, okay, Six Flag and general officers. We have a tremendous amount of talent here, a lot of generals. And General Kellogg, General Flynn, we have just, the room is stacked with generals and talented people and leaders. I love leaders. The great people represent.
Did he say I love leaders?
120 flag and general officer endorsements. 120. And that number is going up very rapidly.
All right, take a question,
And
Trump.
now 17 Medal of Honor recipients. In addition, that's a tremendous amount of very, very brave people. In addition, I'm honored to be joined by the many veterans that are supporting us.
Oh my God, he's pulling a con. K-H-A-N con. He's surrounding himself by the military so that when they make fun of him, it will feel like the reporters are making fun of the military, even though they're not. So by association, since he surrounded himself with Medal of Honor winners, literally, deeply wounded veterans, the people we would respect the most, and he's going to make the press try to disrespect him in the context of the things which we should respect the most.
In Afghanistan on September 9th.
I love this.
2011. And Jane, it's such an honor to have
you. Yeah,
here.
he just made the media give him a standing ovation. I mean, it was really for the veterans,
and
but
thank you very much.
He was there.
The country. Thank you. It's incredibly humbling to be in the company of these real and true heroes. I have the privilege to introduce our first Medal of Honor recipient, Mike Thornton. Mike is a retired United States Navy SEAL, a tough cookie, and a recipient of the United States military's highest
Reed had to fail at almost everything and still win big.
Medal of Honor for his actions in Vietnam.
Yeah, had to fail at almost everything and still win big. That's the book of mine you should read first.
Bronze Stars and a Purple Heart. I'm proud to have him on my team. Such a great honor for me. And also fellow recipient Bob.
Thank you for reading my book.
Likewise has the Medal of Honor.
Thanks for buying it.
Who is also here. We have 17.
He's presenting it as if he's awarding it. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Endorsed me for President of the United
Doesn't
States. And I have been endorsed
and they've endorsed him for president.
Generals, and many of the generals have become very good friends of mine. We seem to
They're
have
his good
very
friends.
chemistry together. But even the generals admit there is something
Voted
very
twice.
special
Thank you.
about recipients. So, Mike, if I might ask you to just say hello, come up.
I'll see you at Muir Woods.
Words, and thank you very much for being here.
They refunded the money.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa, stop. We don't need no more of that. This is all about getting the word out there. I have known Mr. Trump since 1986. And when it wasn't fashionable to support the military,
Medal of Honor winner wouldn't let the audience clap for him.
people like Donald Trump and
Fucking
Zach
awesome.
Fish, and then we bought the USS Intrepid there, and he supported us back in that period of time. Ladies and gentlemen, the medal I wear so proudly around my neck, I do not deserve the medal, never will feel I deserve the medal, but it belongs to every man and woman who's ever served our great nation of America. Because, ladies and gentlemen, freedom is not free.
Who's his Medal of Honor winner? Let's elect this guy. He's pretty awesome.
Right now, today is the most trying time in my
Yeah.
life.
He's a badass, you're right.
Short.
He's about as bad a badass as you can
70
get.
Years. But this election means so much. We do not need any more bureaucratic leadership from Washington, D.C.
This guy's fucking awesome.
We need true leadership from the top. Mr. Trump has never failed in anything because he listens to his advisors, he listens to his people. For the last 8 years,
That part didn't make any sense.
To anybody, and that's the reason why we've lost CIA directors, we've lost Secretary of Defense.
He takes his beer with extra hair. Yeah.
General officers have dropped out or resigned because of his leadership. We cannot stand for 4 more years of leadership like that. We need somebody that's going to lead from the front like Donald Trump. So thank you very much for having us here. God bless you. God bless America, and God bless Donald Trump.
Notice the folks behind him. We got a good smattering of African Americans. Only one woman, though. Is that because they're Medal of Honor winners?
For 45 years.
I can't tell.
Just like the Navy, can't get the armies better. I'm here to tell you something right now. I spent 26 years of my life defending this country. And after that, I spent another 17 years taking care of those veterans who I served with and were still serving. Because I worked for 17 years for the VA before I finally retired. I've watched our country take a complete turnaround from where
We're watching Donald Trump's
we used to be
press conference
the
live.
shining star on the hill. And we're getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And it's all because of all the bureaucrats here in Washington, D.C. And it's time we send somebody to Washington that knows how to say, "You're fired."
Notice the age match. We're going to need a bigger basket. Has anybody said that before? That's pretty funny. We're going to need a bigger basket. Okay, that's got to be turned into a meme in an hour. We're going to need a bigger basket.
Reagan and both the Bushes. General Zapata entered the military in 1964.
Trump. Don Jr. already posted it. That's funny.
Star, 5 Bronze Stars with V for Valor and Purple Heart.
Oh, he said that at a rally the other day? Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's hilarious.
What Bob just did to me, he made me older than anybody up here. Mr. Trump, thank God for you. And your leadership.
I can't believe he's calling this a press conference.
You know, being a Vietnam veteran and serving all the way through the Iraq and Afghanistan war in the Department of Defense as the chairman of the Reserve Forces Policy Board, for half of the military that we deployed to that region 15 years ago, and we're still there.
Do I talk about anything but Trump? Well,
and when they
not
came
lately.
home, they couldn't use the VA because they were not veterans, because they were still part of their Reserve and National Guard unit. I know the next President of the United States, Donald Trump, will fix that.
So how about the fact that because of the birther thing, he forces the networks to stay on this the whole time? Because this is the stuff that they don't like to do.
Are also deployables.
But they also can't take the network away from the Medal of Honor winners.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is just
it's
riveting.
an honor for me to be here in supporting the next President of the United States who will lead
So
from the front.
They've got a little label on the bottom of the screen, the Chiron. It says Trump set to address the birther issue to keep people tuned in. Because they know nobody wants to watch, people babbling on, even the Medal of Honor winners. But they can't pull away. And the whole time that these guys are talking, they're imbuing Trump with their awesomeness in front of us.
He won his silver star in Korea when the North Koreans tried to take over our location there in the DMZ. So he's a very special warrior. He is a Major General. It's my honor to introduce you to Major General Burt Mississauga.
Yeah, how many of them are there? I thought we were going to do this quickly. I'm going to have to take you with me and get some more coffee.
Thank you, Al. We do go way back. I don't really
Come with me.
go back to the Korean War, but that's indeed where I was awarded the Silver Star. After 40 years of serving this nation in uniform and 4 combat deployments, I've become convinced that our nation needs a multidisciplinary interagency approach to defeat our enemies and to secure the long-term fruits of victory. In essence, what we need is fresh thinking, innovative approaches, and strong leadership. It's been my privilege
You want to go into my bedroom?
time with Mr. Trump on and off the campaign trail over the past few months. And I have been extremely impressed with this gentleman's stamina.
You want to see where I sleep?
If you were privy to his schedule, you would be totally amazed at what he has been able
Does anybody else want to see my bedroom?
addition to his
No.
stand-up, I've
I
been
don't
very
think so.
impressed with his intellectual curiosity and his raw intelligence and his energy and his enthusiasm and, yes, indeed, his temperament. He's got the right temperament that we need in the White House.
Is Christina there? No, she's not. Is there any women in it?
But the
There are
thing that I've
not.
been most impressed with is his absolute love for the men and women in uniform and the support that he's going to give them from the White House. And I can guarantee you,
Where I keep the victims?
men and women make overseas,
That's the
and that
basement.
their families make at home will not be in vain, in addition to the billions of taxpayer dollars that we spend supporting them. And that's why I stand by Mr. Trump to be our next commander-in-chief. Now it's my pleasure to introduce a fellow comrade of arms, Admiral Don Horn. He's a Naval Academy graduate from the class of '74. He commanded a guided missile frigate,
All right.
a destroyer squadron,
Yeah.
was an executive assistant.
Does look like a living room.
Naval commander of Naval Forces Europe, and he ended a brilliant career as
We're
a
just
deputy
doing this
director
until
for strategic plans and
Trump
policy
answers some
in
questions about the
Russia,
birth of
Africa,
them.
and NATO. So, my pleasure.
Can you hear my dog purr? Her sister's a cat. She purrs.
We are a
You hear that?
group of national security professionals who dedicated our lives to the security of our nation, as deplorable as we are. We are not a political group.
As deplorable as we are, he
a
said.
national security group that has chosen to support a political candidate. The series of discussions you've all listened to Mr. Trump have.
Would you rather watch the dog while we're waiting?
National security is not solely about the military. It's comprised of many facets: defense, diplomacy,
You were-
development,
you were-
economic security,
you were anti-dog?
energy security, border security.
I really should be
cyber
working.
security,
Wait, where's my coffee?
homeland security.
Don't get me off my track.
The logical policy presentations that Mr. Trump has delivered over the last few weeks lay out a sound strategic approach to providing the security
Just what do I
of the
do?
nation and the security of
Don't
all
you have Google?
Americans. These policies comprise
It's pretty
a
popular.
holistic
You should try it.
approach to addressing the complex facets of national security in a complex and extremely dangerous
Do a live stream of me making a
international
comic?
world. Moreover, Mr. Trump combines this multifaceted approach to our security
Yeah, I believe it
with
is.
a pronounced commitment to those in uniform
Over.
serving our nation today.
Do I work every day?
And in fact,
Most days, yes.
all veterans who have worn the cloth of the nation. And that commitment extends to the families of those who have served. For as all of us in this room, their sacrifice has been as equally difficult, if not more so, than our own. George Washington said, "The willingness with which our young people
Snickers, how old are you?
serve in any war,
8 years
no
old.
matter
She's about
how
8.
justified, shall be directly proportional to how they
Favorite
receive
cartoonist who's not
veterans
myself?
from earlier wars
You should read
treated
Stephen
and
Postus'
are appreciated
Pearls Before
by our
Sword.
nation.
Did not being able to talk make me a better cartoonist?
Mr.
No.
Trump has embraced
I was
those
already a
words
cartoonist
of
by
our
then,
first
so
president.
it didn't change that much.
Mr. Trump has also shown an
She does, doesn't she?
extreme dedication
Doesn't she look drunk?
to those that have shouldered the wounds of battle in the service to our nation. And we have several of those people with us today. And he has committed himself
Does
to the words of
Christina have
President
a dog?
Abraham Lincoln,
It's not.
emblazoned in the motto of our Department of Veterans Affairs. To care for him who shall
Kept rubbing
have
chin
borne the
with
battle
middle finger.
and for his widow and orphan.
I can't stop rubbing my chin.
This is why
It's
all
just,
of us
it
here
feels good.
are assembled to support Donald Trump for president.
Okay, seriously, how long is this going to last? I turned this on so we could watch Trump.
We have lived national security for a large part of our lives.
I'm going to do some work
We
while we're
understand
waiting
how
for
a
this.
strong economy, cooperative governance, combined with skilled diplomacy, sound energy policy, sound alliances, and a united American public, all defended by a well-trained, appropriately funded, fully committed, and technologically unsurpassed military, come together to make America strong and make the world a safer place. And finally, all of us on this stage, all of you in the audience who have served.
Are there really 9 more speakers? That's not true, is it?
Pledged, sealed with the honor and commitment in your own lives.
I'm just going to check my Twitter feed while we're waiting for these people to talk.
Not to a chain of command, or not to a commander-in-chief, but an oath to a piece
Poet laureate.
A piece of parchment upon which is written those ideals in which we believe, those values that define us as a nation, those very virtues that those who have served before
I'm just checking
us
my Twitter feed while we're waiting.
An oath.
The evolutionary argument against reality.
From all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and
What
allegiance
date was
to that
this?
Constitution.
April.
To
Already
form
read.
a more perfect union, to establish justice, to ensure domestic tranquility, to provide for the common defense, to promote the general welfare, and to secure the blessings of liberty to our
Salon called me a fascist.
That
Yay.
is important to all
Was that recently? Or just in general? I think Salon calls me a fascist about twice a week, don't they?
remains the cornerstone of our lives long after we have taken off football. That oath is important to Donald Trump.
Huffington Post front page? All right, I will.
On January 2017.
The Huffington Post front page, you say?
That's why we assembled in this room, along with many other veterans and their military families.
Birther bullshit bonanza.
Together, we will all make America great again. Thank every single one of you for your service to our nation, and may God continue to prosper the United States.
Did Salon call me fascist recently, or was that just something they said in the past? Because I'm pretty sure they have said that.
West Point graduate of the Lawful Legends. Commissioned as second lieutenant in the Army, he then joined the Air Force.
All right. I'm going to turn this off because I actually have to do work today. And it appears that Trump is never going to talk. So I'm going to have to turn this off. Sorry. Make you wait. You don't think there's... Trump isn't after this, right? You want to watch me work?
Thank you, Don.
Yeah, we're going to turn this off. All right. We'll check back on Twitter. See you guys.